Okay, so I think this should be the final video on this chapter. Um, let's remember where we're at. So what Sosa's pointed out is, so he gave us an account of knowledge where what it takes to know something is for it to be true, for you to believe it, and for you to have a non-defective epistemic pyramid for it. And then he immediately pointed out a bunch of problems with it. And all of these problems had to do with sort of not functioning correctly in the setting you're in. And so what he concluded from that was that knowledge has a social aspect. And then he immediately pointed out like that has an unusual result is that knowledge ends up being relative to an epistemic community. So you might know relative to one community and fail to know relative to another. And that's unexpected, but you might wonder if maybe it's unexpected and nice rather than unexpected and bad. And Sosa claims that's right. It's unexpected and nice because if you think about, he has this example of a vacationer in the woods. The vacationer in the woods might know well enough qua vacationer that say this bush has blueberries on it, but might fail to know well enough qua area guide that this bush has blueberries on it. And that seems correct, actually, that like that kind of thing happens. The guides would make fun of this vacationer for claiming to know, whereas his fellow vacationers might think, yeah, this guy knows what he's doing. And they might all be correct about that. So that's where we left off. And so what Sosa wants to point out is that overall, there's two types of situations that we've seen where correct, fully warranted belief falls short of knowledge. And where it falls short, not because of neglect or faulty reasoning or because you have false beliefs, but where it sort of fails because you're not in a position to know, either because your cognitive equipment isn't up to the task, or because you lack generally known information. So the cognitive equipment not being up to the task would maybe be like the Mr. Magoo case or the Mona Lisa case, whereas the missed generally known information would be like the newspaper cases. And in both of those, it seems like you would meet Sosa's definition of knowledge while in fact lacking knowledge. And so that suggests the definition is just incorrect. Now, Sosa does not want to claim that those situations are the only sorts of situations where you might not be in a position to know. He doesn't even claim to have a complete list of such things or ways of describing it. He just wants to say that, like, look, there are such principles, and we have to go beyond the traditional emphasis by epistemologists on warrant and reasoning as determinants of knowledge. Okay. And so he now goes on to propose a definition of what it is to be evident from a particular point of view. So here's his definition. A proposition is evident from the point of view of a certain type of knower, a K, to a subject only if both he is rationally justified in believing it and he's in a position to know. Where again, we haven't fleshed that out in great detail, but we've seen that, like, yeah, there are things that it takes to be in a position to know. And so if we think about the Magoo example, what Sosa says here is that it might in fact be evident to Magoo from his point of view, where he can't see the bombs going off, that he's in fact going to reach the other side safely on his cable car trip. But it seems wrong to say of Magoo that he knows he's going to arrive safely from the human point of view, that is a knowledge that he had, that is knowledge from the human point of view that he has. It's not. It's only knowledge from like the Magoo point of view. So what he says is, from the human point of view, Magoo is not in a position to know that he will arrive safely. As a result, he cannot possibly know because he's not in a position to know. Okay. And so if we incorporate this epicycle into our theory of knowledge, here's where we end up. We say S knows from the K point of view that P, if and only if it's true that P, S believes that P, and there's a non-defective epistemic pyramid from the K point of view for S and the proposition that P. So knowledge is always relative to a particular, the point of view of a particular type of knower. And if you have knowledge from the point of view of that sort of knower, it's because you meet these conditions. Okay, so that's the account that Sosa wants to end the chapter with. Um, and he has a little discussion of how this meets the challenges that we saw before, and accepting that, in fact, yes, knowledge is going to be relative to community as a result. And then he spends the rest of this chapter providing a slightly more complicated version of the same idea in an appendix. We're not going to go over that, and you won't need to think hard about that in this class. So I'm going to end here. Thanks.